what is the likelihood that you're going to be living in the same building with Dwight?
You guys moved up from Santa Monica up to where my girlfriend was living in a little house in the basement of this 3-story place. And Dwight was living in the garage. Don't let him tell you any different. It was a garage. And I think probably the likelihood is that about 1 in 8 million. And the interesting thing is I had a really good friend from Austin who had moved out to L.A., guitar player named Billy Campbell. And he had told me about Dwight. He had a funny text. He said, Billy, there might be this guy living near you that's good. You should check him out. And just happenstance is the day I met Dwight in the parking lot of our house and kind of almost put 2 and 2 together. I go like, is this the guy Campbell told me about? And once Dwight and I started talking, it was. So I'd gotten a tip about Dwight from a man who had no idea I was living underneath him in the Hollywood Hills. So you can add that to the improbability, right?
This album had some very, I don't know if you'd say dark, but very heavy elements. I read one.
Well, again, part of the legacy of what I was doing at that point writing is that traditional country music, and going back to Irish folk music, Scottish and Welsh, music that really begat American mountain music, that culture expressing itself musically here. Those things, songs that were about passion gone awry, were part of, the musical form and expression. So I was writing those things out of observation of other people's lives and watching people struggle with betrayal at times, or hearing, and knowing friends that had gone through stuff. Now, nobody that I knew had ever acted on it in a violent way, but it was, all those warnings were, just, cultural kind of parts of the musical expression that was, an extension of that legacy, the traditional, whether it's the banks of the Ohio or Knoxville Girl, those kinds of songs. I was writing in form to an extent.
And look at it this way, the album did go to #1.
Yeah, so somebody liked it.
The right time.
Well, Emmylou Harris told me that her favorite song of mine ever was Buenas Noches from a Lonely Room. She wore red dresses. I said, well, it's a dark little number. She said, I like it. I was like, okay. I think it's like the blues, it's escaping into it, lets you escape from it sometimes, expression.
It was a real...
There's happy on this album, too, that, it ends on the note of, there are moments where I was writing from my own cultural experience religiously. By the end, the last track, Hold On to God. So, yeah, this album certainly flushed out, like I said earlier in the other episodes, the kind of illustration of what music had influenced me as a kid, the things I heard, the mountain music, it's like, that's where I first had, I asked my love to take a walk, just a little walk down beside where the water flows, down by the bank of the Ohio. Something starts out real pretty like that and ends up real dark by the end, those things are what I heard from my birth forward. I heard that kind of mountain music, and I'm going to sleep with one eye open from now on. That's an old mountain song. It's like, that influenced me in writing something like What I Don't Know. I'm going to sleep with one eye open.
Great.
From now on. I heard you've been doing your daddy wrong. Anyway, all of that.
Yeah.
You know, Hank Williams Sr., all of those things, you know, influence probably culminated to some degree here. I mean, later, the Luke the Drifter step would really show itself on, if there was on this time when I wrote Lonesome Roads. My influences are plural. You know, it's not everything. So I'm not writing a journal. I'm writing about thoughts and commentary on life as I've witnessed it, you know, and spending years in nightclubs playing music and watching people interact and watching people, you know, interact in a positive way and interact in a very negative way sometimes, you know. You know, you see a lot of life when you're 19, 20, 21 years old, you know, first starting out playing in nightclubs. Very eye-opening.
Yeah. We call it the 360-degree view.
It is that. It is, yeah. Yeah. It's the view from 10,000 feet, certainly. Yeah, yeah. And I never drank, so I was watching it all sober.
Thank you.
Yeah. Which, you know, the next song, Start Side 2, is one that Pete wanted to do. He brought up as a cover, which came out of, you remember, what town did he come out of, the writer?
Crowley, Louisiana.
Yeah, Crowley, Louisiana, yeah.
And Lazy Lester sang it.
Lazy Lester. Well, he wasn't so lazy that he didn't write this song, a good song, too.
Right.
Starts off side 2.